Hi everyone, how have you all been? Apologies I couldn't have the last live stream last week, but some family stuff came up. But I'm glad I'm back. And how do I look? Do I look too overexposed? Do I look just right? I'm going to probably put this back onto this light here, just to give myself a little bit of a warm look, which is what I always usually do. Oh, wrong side. There you go. Oh, Connor the Gamer. Two of my YouTube members are here, which is great. Oh wow, great to see all of you. Ooh. Hello to all of you. Great to see you all here. Pink Dragon, I Hate Anime, Cole, the G Gamer, Jess, Minecraft World, Saeed, Ethan's Drawings. It's going good. How about yourself? You guys say I look just fine? That's great. Hopefully I look good with this filter I put on. Review says, hey Eric, I'm sorry I couldn't make it to your live streams. I've been diagnosed pre-diabetic, so it's been rough. Oh, I'm so sorry to hear that. Oh. Charlton says, I'm glad to join again. Last live stream the week before, I was sick and couldn't make it. Well, I'm glad you're feeling better now. Ooh, someone has sent me a Streamlabs chat already. Let's take a look who sent it. I think I have an idea who sent it. It's the same person that usually sends it. Oh, I was wrong, but it is one of the people that usually do. We've got, let me write it down here. And then I'll say who said it and who sent it and what they're asking. A £3.95 super chat from Iron Warrior. Thank you very much, buddy. As I always say to you guys, if you do donations through Streamlabs, 100% of the donation goes to me, as opposed to when you do it through super chats, where a little bit of it goes to YouTube. So it's always best to do it through Streamlabs if you can. And let's see. Iron Warrior asks, hello, getting an earlier donation in. Have you started watching The Boys Season 4 yet? Plus, hypothetically, is it possible to donate enough for you to do a specific Let's Watch episode or quick review? Well, that's two questions. In answer to your first question, I would say, about The Boys Season 4, I have not seen it yet. I never watch The Boys until all the episodes come out and I can binge watch them. I did that with Season 1. That's how Amazon released Season 1 of The Boys. They did it as a binge-watch show because The Boys hadn't blown up yet, so they didn't know it was going to be a success. And everyone was trying to do that at the beginning, to follow Netflix's business model. So, I watched The Boys Season 1, binge-watched it at my own leisure. It was a great experience doing that. And then The Boys Season 2, I also binge-watched at my own leisure, and it was so much fun. There were some people that were saying The Boys Season 2 did not flow as well in terms of its pacing as the first season, and I think that really is down to the fact that they had to wait weekly to watch each episode. Because for me, The Boys Season 2 flowed just as good as the first season, I thought. If not, it flowed a little bit better, I thought. So, I think binging The Boys is a significantly better experience than watching them one episode a week. And I did the same with Season 3, and I loved it. Season 4, I am waiting for the rest of the episodes to come out, and then I'll binge watch it at my own pace, which usually is about 2 days. I finish it in. So yes, I have not seen The Boys Season 4 yet. People have been asking me what I thought of it. I haven't seen it yet. And in answer to your second question, when you say hypothetically, is it possible to donate enough for you to do a specific Let's Watch episode or quick review? Yes, it is. If you go over to my Patreon, I actually have commission videos, which I've said, and there I've set prices, so you can donate the prices that I've specified, and by doing that, you've commissioned a video, and I'll make it for you, that specific video for you. So go to my Patreon and you'll see. And for those of you that are not liking Patreon, because I know some of you don't like to make accounts on other places, that's perfectly fine. I'll bring it over to my YouTube memberships, so then you can, donate through YouTube memberships and get the, see, Wolfman says I don't have a Patreon. So, that's okay. I would recommend, which is what I've done with, which is what the answer a lot of people give is just make a Patreon account, which is the simple way. But if you don't worry. You got a YouTube account, I will create a YouTube memberships version, and I'll bring those commission videos over to YouTube memberships, so you can, start commissioning videos for me there if you want as well. Okay, so that's hopefully that answers your questions, Iron Warrior, and thank you so much for the early donation. I really appreciate it. Elite says, I can't be in the stream today because I have a party to attend, but I'll be there in the next stream and have a nice stream. Oh, thanks very much, buddy, and I hope you enjoy your party. Meanwhile, we have a party here. Batman's Gamer says, I have way too many shows to get to work on, and it's gonna feel like a chore. Yeah, shows can feel like that now. There's just way too much content. That didn't stop people from going to see Inside Out 2, though, which we'll talk about in a bit. So, before we get on to talking about Inside 2, first thing I want to say is, as always, when I am talking about these stories here, I will not be able to answer your questions immediately. However, if you want to ask me a question and you want me to answer it immediately as I'm going through these stories, then all you got to do is just donate through the super chat, and I'll answer your question immediately, or do it through Streamlabs chat, and I will also answer your question immediately. So, those are the only things I think I've really got to tell you, and now that we've said that, I think it's about time we get on to the stories of the stream. I've got some interesting stories here, especially one about Disney, which I did not expect to be saying, but looks like they've actually, got a single big win here. But when you offset that with the amount of losses they've done, did they really win in the end? But we'll get to that. Alright, so first story of the day is going to be Inside Out 2. Now, its first opening weekend, it did a really, really good job. Now, the projected numbers for Inside Out 2 on its opening weekend, the industry projected that it was going to be about $80 to $90 million on its opening weekend. The actual numbers, however, for Inside Out 2's box office in that opening weekend was $155 million. And that's domestically. Worldwide, I think that was another 150, so it was about $300 million, or was it approached about 400, something like that? It was insane, basically. So yeah, basically it was insane. Disney have got a big box office opening here, and this is very similar to the box office openings that they would used to get when they were on the top of their game when it came to family animation. So yeah, it made a ton, and now we're in our second week, and our second week it's made even more money at the box office, bringing its total from what was originally in its first week about $500 million to $724 million. So yeah, in its second week, Inside Out 2 is already starting to reach that $1 billion point. This just basically goes to show how people still are willing to go to the theaters. So I will say, one thing this does prove is that all of Disney's excuses for their previous box office failures, especially in 2023, is just a load of nonsense. If you guys remember, in 2023, when Disney was speaking to their investors, they were constantly bringing up the pandemic, which they keep falling on, even though the pandemic is not something to complain about anymore. That's not keeping people from leaving their houses anymore. So that's a dead argument, but they keep bringing it up. They also talk about the fact of how, people just don't go to the theater as much nowadays. And again, this proves the opposite. People are willing to go. So this basically just kicks all of those arguments out of the water, basically, for Disney. So they cannot fall onto those silly excuses anymore in the future. Because in the future, let's say this movie did well. This is one of their movies that's going to do well. And I will assume that Deadpool and Wolverine will do well as well. Let's just say those two do good, and then the rest of their movies do bad. Disney cannot say to their shareholders and their investors that, the audiences, they don't come to the theaters, that's it. And the pandemic, people just don't go to the theaters anymore. We've had other movies that have proved otherwise, like Barbie, Oppenheimer, and others, and the Mario movie. And now we've got one of Disney's own. So it shows that people are willing to go to the theaters. It's got nothing to do with the fact that pandemic has deterred them or anything of the sort. It's all down to the fact that Disney were just not making movies that people wanted to see. And Inside Out 2 is a movie that they wanted to see. And on top of that, I will say this. I'm doing a versus video for Inside Out 1 and 2. And I will give you a little bit of a tease as to what I say in my versus video. One of the points I bring up is that Inside Out 2 has nothing controversial in it. So no one can say Inside Out 2 is controversial, it's doing this, it's discussing that. It's not. And parents, not just domestically, but internationally, rely on that for their family entertainment when it comes to coming to these movies as a family with their children. They don't want politics, they don't want anything like that. They specifically want just good programming and good family entertainment. And that's exactly what Inside Out 2 delivered. And this is the results of Disney giving them that kind of entertainment. And it's not shocking. I mean, this is the kind of thing that Disney used to, like, pride themselves on. And it's something they used to do so well. And it's given them such a great box office return. I mean, look at this. This is something that Disney used to get all the time back in the days because people trusted Disney. But now they don't. Charleston, you says, I haven't seen Inside Out 2 yet. I'm hoping it isn't woke. It's not woke. You cannot use that word woke on this whatsoever. Like, I've watched the movie. There is nothing in it where you can say that's woke or they're trying to preach. Now, there are moments where they could have. That is something I noticed when I was watching. There is something that they could have done there. Like, especially, I think, with Riley, they could have tried to make her gay if they wanted to, with a particular character or characters, maybe. But they didn't. Especially because in the first movie, she was into boys, remember? I will die for Riley, that boy that she would dream about. So yeah, they've not changed things. They've not said that, okay, now she's into girls or anything like that. They've kept it very PG. They've kept it very family appropriate for international audiences, because that's what Disney was very good at, bringing international audiences in. But their international numbers at the box office had really been declining because international people don't have the same Western politics and ideologies that Western society does. Heck, even in Western society, they're pushing back against this kind of thing in their movies. So, yeah, that's something that was really doing bad for Disney in the box office. But now, the fact they've done a very good job of not doing that, look at the result. So this should teach Disney a very solid lesson that they should not start to preach in their future movies. It's not really getting them anything in terms of box office. If anything, it's deterring their box office and their audiences, especially their worldwide audiences. So I would definitely recommend that Disney keep on doing this, because this is what they used to do. And that's all they have to do is return to form. They shouldn't have left that form in the first place, but they did. But this number is fantastic. It really, really is. Now, it is possible that Disney can learn the wrong lesson from this, because if there's one thing that a lot of us have been annoyed with, is that Disney are getting too sort of like trigger happy with movie sequels. So they're trying to do another Toy Story movie, even though a lot of people are turning on Toy Story 4 and saying that that should not have been made. It should have ended with Toy Story 3, and I agree. And what they're also trying to do now is, like I said, make a Toy Story 5. They're also going to make Moana 2, which technically is a sequel people did want, so that's okay. But it makes you think, what are they going to do next? Are they going to do another Finding Nemo or Finding Dory? Are they going to take some of their more recent movies and make sequels to those? I mean, they're already still trying to be on that live-action remake bandwagon with the Mufasa movie coming, which I hope does not do well, because I don't want them to continue down that route. Making a Lion King sequel or origin in animation would have been so much better, but instead doing it with CGI and trying to make it look live-action, that was a bad idea. But yes, there's a lot of good things that can come from this and a lot of bad things that can come from this. And Disney, being a very tone-deaf and, quite frankly, a really stupid studio at times, as we've seen, I think they're going to take more bad lessons from this. But I will say, this is a good result for Disney. They should take the right lessons from it. No political preaching, pandering, anything like that. Just go back to making good old-fashioned worldwide entertainment that is great for audiences internationally, not just, the social media crowd that they've been trying to appeal to, which was so silly. So, yes, fantastic job for Disney. I have no doubt this movie will reach the $1 billion mark, because that was a big question. Its opening weekend was great, but what would the fallout be? And the fallout, as you can clearly see, was not that big. This is a fantastic result and will be one of the biggest box office performers of 2024. I have no doubt about that. So, yeah. Stay tuned for my versus video when I compare Inside Out 1 and 2 together. And, yeah, this is a great result. The movie itself was fun. And, yeah, stay tuned for my versus video if you want to know more of what I think of this movie. But, yes, Disney should be very happy with this result. And they should continue making more movies like this. So, who in the chat has seen Inside Out 2? Comment saying me or not me, or something like that, so I can look at the list of you. By the way, it's 25 degrees and I'm in my attic right now. Sonic says he saw it. It was great. The Dark Lord says, hit the like button, people. The captain deserves our support. Yes, that would be very much appreciated if you could hit that like button. The Modern Painter says, I did. Ranger Goat says, not me. Universal says, I have seen it. Me, not me. Eric, I do have a question. What type of lessons can Disney learn from the massive success of Inside Out 2? I've already said what they can learn from it. Don't be political. Don't try to get pats on the back. Make content or movies or shows that people internationally will love. If they start delving into Western politics and ideologies, they're limiting their audience and they're cutting off what is essentially their life support, their lifeline, which is international audiences. Disney is an international, global phenomenon of a company, and they seriously lost that in the last several years. That's why they've been massively underperforming, and a lot of people hate Disney now. So yes. Connor says, I have no clue if I should see Inside Out 2 since I am 19 years old, 19-year-old adult, and seeing a kids movie will be weird right now. I will say, in terms of you saying that, there is something funny that happened when I went to the theatre. Now, when a lot of people were in the auditorium, when I went in, a lot of people were there. It was full by the time the movie started. So when I sat down, when I went to get my ticket, I bought my ticket, which was fine, but then you go over to the cashier who will rip your ticket or scan it, you know. And when I went there, there was, I think, 3 people, or was it a couple that went in there first. Then I went in there, and I gave my ticket, and she says, just you? And I was like, yeah, you snarky cow, just me. And but I didn't say that to her, but I was thinking that in my head. I just said to her, yeah. But in my head, I was like, you snarky what? You snarky mare. That's what she basically did. And it's like she was thinking, you're coming to watch this movie that's rated U, or in America is rated G, on your own. Yes, I am. So silly. But, yeah, so Connor, I get what you mean, but a 19-year-old adult seeing a kid's movie, but I'm a 29-year-old adult now. I think I was 28 when I saw the movie. But I'm a 29-year-old adult now, and I went in. It's alright. You can go ahead and go watch it. As a thing is, I will say, you're just about to leave your teenage years. So if you've gone through the thing that Riley struggles through with here is her teenage years. You know, like the awkwardness of like just when you just hit puberty, and then when you're about to go into school and reputation becomes, you know, everything that matters to you. That's what Riley goes through in this movie. And if you feel like you can relate to that and the anxiety of being a kid at school and trying to keep all these friends and like build a reputation, then this movie will speak to you. If you did not have that kind of, you know, experience at school, or say if you are homeschooled like I am, it will not be something you relate to as much. I will say one thing about Inside Out 2, whereas Inside Out 1 was dealing with the fact that she moved as a character. She left her home and she had to basically live with it, and it was all about denial and just trying to constantly be happy and not let any sadness in, which is just not good for your mental state of mind. It made Riley break down as a character, and I actually thought that the first movie did that incredibly well. The second movie, however, tried to do the whole, it's more of a generic storyline in the sense that it's a kid trying to like just live life at high school, like kind of like Mean Girls and various others that you might have seen, and they're just going through that. That's what she's going through here, and you might find that more interesting or less interesting than the story in the first movie that she's going through. So, Looks like a lot of you have seen the movie, but it looks like some of you have. There's a lot of no's here too. Cole says you could do a poll. Yes, I could do a poll. I will do a poll actually. But before I do that, let's answer this super chat question from The Last of Us is the Best, who's given $2.79 Canadian dollars on YouTube, on super chat. Sorry. It's hot in here, so apologies if I seem a bit slower. So, he says, how do I join your YouTube membership? If you want to join my YouTube membership, what you need to do is, you're watching my stream right now on YouTube. Are you watching on your mobile device, or are you watching on the web browser? Either way, just scroll down. Next to my channel, you should see a button that says join. Click that, and I've got several different membership perks you can go through. They're all special. I've all got content coming for people that use those perks. And eventually I'm going to, like I said, bring over my Patreon commission perks, where you can start requesting quick movie reviews and versus videos and three-way versus videos. And yes, even maybe Let's Binge Watch as well. I don't know if I've put Let's Binge Watch there just yet, but I probably will at some point. So, yeah, that's what you got to do, bud. And that's your third super chat on a live stream. Thank you very much. It says here, let's celebrate their third super on a live stream. So thanks very much for that. Miles Adair, great to see you here, says, I saw Inside Out 2 last night. It was great. This is what Disney needs, entertainment and a good story. Jess says, was everyone yelling in the theatre? No, actually, they were very well behaved. I think everyone just enjoyed it. This kind of felt like when you're going to a movie that people really wanted to see. You could tell everyone in the theatre wanted to see this. I will say there wasn't as much laughter as I would have expected. I mean, there were some funny jokes in the movie, but there were a lot that just kind of were more like predictable types. They might make you smile or something, but there wasn't a lot of audible laughs in there that you normally would get with a Disney movie. Arathorn says, I've seen a lot of couples watching the film. Yeah, a lot of people have gone to see this, a lot of couples. The Time Shadow says, to be fair, I'm 18 years old and I still love Alvin the Chipmunks. I'm assuming this is to the to the previous comment I said earlier to one of our viewers who was 19. Connor, I think it was. Yeah, Connor, who said he was 19 and wanted to go. Yeah, don't worry, there's a lot of adults that go to see these movies, so don't feel embarrassed about it or anything, you know. Especially because sometimes we're living in a time where the kids' movie is better than the adult movie. I mean, just look at Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse. It's a PG movie. A lot of people would assume this is the kids' Spider-Man movie, when really it's like, no, this is better than the live-action Spider-Man movies. Kevin says, how come Bill Hader couldn't voice Fear? Yeah, that was a shame. Because I did rewatch Inside Out 1. Bill Hader was very funny in that. How he wasn't just yelling. There were more quieter parts to his performance as well, and then he would, like, you know, get crazy. But there was a build-up. It's like this new actor didn't really do it. It was kind of disappointing, I think, what this new actor did. It felt like he was one mode shouting all the time. He didn't have the nuance that Bill Hader did, which is a shame. Rohan says, I'm sorry I'm late. Don't worry, buddy. And look at that. We've got 2 new super chats. Let's write these down. We've got Batman's Gamer, who's done a $5 super chat. He says, I'm also 19, and I've gotten used to watching darker films over the years, so maybe a child's movie just isn't my style. Yet saw Spider-Verse and still do. Yeah, I know, I've been through that phase. When I was younger, it came to a point where I was like, when I was reaching 12 or 13, I was like, I don't want to be watching any more kiddie Disney movies. I've seen them so many times. I want to watch adult movies, R-rated types. And well, now I can, and now that I can watch whichever ones I want, sometimes the kid movies are more fun. Okay, and we got also a super chat from Adam Grunther. Hi, Adam. I'm glad to see you're on the stream. And this question you're asking, I know I scrolled across it at some point, but I didn't respond to it, so I apologize for that. You're saying, will you be reacting to The Boys Season 4 on your Patreon? Probably not. The reason why is because with The Boys, ever since Season 1, that was a show I kind of watched on a whim, only because I saw a cool ad, with Robin and, getting squished like a bug from A-Train. I watched that episode and... Sorry, I watched season 1, and I said this earlier in the stream, I binge-watched season 1, and it was so good. Season 2, however, was having a weekly release schedule, which is something that Amazon did, and a lot of people that watched it with that weekly release schedule, when they finished watching it, they said it wasn't as well-paced as season 1. Me, however, I waited for all the episodes of season 2 to come out, and then I saw them, binge-watched them in like 2 days. And for me, I thought the pacing was better than season 1. It was just as well-paced, if not better, as how I thought when I watched it. And I was like, maybe that's the reason why. Maybe The Boys benefits as a show that you can binge-watch at your own leisure, as opposed to, watching it weekly, which can get probably frustrating and just feel annoying. So, ever since, I was like, yeah, I'm going to continue to wait for the episodes to come out, and then I'll binge-watch them however I wanna. So, season 3, I waited for all the episodes to come out, and I binge-watched them. And now we're on season 4, and I'm also waiting for all the episodes to come out, and then I'm going to binge-watch them. So, probably not. The Boys is a show that I like to watch on my own, and I don't feel like I want to work when I'm watching it, because all the others... I've realized when I've been doing on Patreon, it does feel a bit like you have to work a little bit. You got the lights shining on your face, and everything. You got to be aware that you're still trying to entertain you guys as I'm watching, like I did with Invincible. I'll talk about Invincible in a second. So I don't want to be doing that with The Boys. The Boys is the one show I like to enjoy on my own, if you know what I mean. I've gone through that phase as a YouTuber where I feel like everything I watch, I have to report back to you guys. And it just kind of takes the fun out of, like, watching movies and shows. So sometimes you gotta have that one show you can escape and watch on your own. And for me, that usually is The Boys. It's why I never really covered The Boys, or why I never even really covered Gen V, because I usually watch those on my own. But now that I'm doing these live streams, maybe I could review The Boys Season 4. So we'll see about that. But yeah, right now, going back to Invincible, I need to finish watching those, because... I still haven't seen them. I'm going to watch them with you guys when I actually do and put them on Let's Watch on Patreon. But yeah, Invincible, that month break they took, those few months, it really threw me off and made me feel like, yeah, I can live without watching it now. Before, I wanted to go see the next one straight away, but that 4-month wait they got us to do, whatever it was, that was one of the worst decisions or worst release schedule decisions I've ever seen in the history of streaming shows. What they did was absolutely terrible. So, yeah, look at it. I've still not seen it. That's unheard of, because I wanted to see Invincible Season 2. And a lot of people still haven't seen Invincible Season 2. So, I think they really did screw up with that release schedule, and it really came back to bite them on the arse. King of the Monsters says, Eric, did you hear that the pro-Palestinian crowd on Twitter tried to boycott this movie? Thoughts? Well, they could do whatever they want if they want to, because Disney is supporting, what's going on down there. So, yeah, that's entirely up to them. Although, I think there's bigger fish to fry when it comes to that kind of thing. Adam Grunt says, Tony Hale is a very funny actor, but it's hard to compete with Bill Hader. Yep, you are right. If you watch the first Inside Out, which I did before I saw Inside Out 2, and like I said, a versus video is coming, Bill Hader, he didn't just yell and shout like the character is known for. He wasn't just a comic relief. I felt like that he was interacting with the other characters and reacting like the other characters. But a lot of the characters in the second one, it just felt like they weren't really reacting. It felt like he was not really reacting as much as he was there just being the comic relief. He would react if it meant being loud and speaking in a very high-pitched voice, but there wasn't really as much character there. Bill Hader really bought that. Like, if you watch the scene where in the first movie where they're trying to wake Riley up with a nightmare, when he's like, oh yeah, that I've seen that many times before. And then all of a sudden when the dog splits in half and he just spits out his coffee, that voice and everything, that was comedic gold. I thought that was the funniest scene of the entire movie. Or one of the funniest scenes. So, we didn't get any of that from Fear in the second movie, and the actor that did try to do anything like that, he didn't pull it off. It just felt more like the straight-to-DVD voice version of Fear, rather than the cinematic movie version. You remember when Disney used to do those straight-to-video sequels, and they used to hire different voice actors because it wouldn't cost as much? That's what it feels like the voice acting is with Fear in Inside Out 2. So, yeah. Let's see. Gregory, where is your question? just scrolled me right to the bottom is what it did. Here we go. Liza Lapira, as discussed, was better than Mindy Kaling. What did you think of Inside Out 2? I thought it was painfully average. I don't want to give you my full-on opinions and thoughts of Inside Out 2 because I am writing a versus video on it. But there was fun to be had, definitely. There was a lot of stuff that I did enjoy in the film. There was one big thing that I didn't, and we will talk about that in the versus video. Let me put it this way. Let me give you guys, because you guys always come to these live streams and stuff, you always tune in. Here's a little clue as to what I didn't like about Inside Out 2. Now, the perspective of Inside Out 2 shifts from 3 different perspectives. You have Riley's perspective, you've got the emotions perspective, and then you got anxiety and the new characters, their perspective. So it's divided between 3 different perspectives. 2 of those perspectives I liked, but 1 of them I didn't. I'll leave that with you, so you can wait until my versus video where I talk about those. And even the first movie has like divided perspectives as well. You had Riley in the first movie. You had the joy and sadness, their perspective in the movie. And then you also had the other emotions that were inside Riley's head that were also, their perspective. So both movies follow like the 3 perspective kind of format. And yeah, in the second movie, I'm not going to tell you which one, but 1 of them I did not like. Fireboy says, I saw Inside Out 2 and it was a great comeback for Disney. Cool, I'm glad you really enjoyed it. Arathorn says, the boys fell off in season 4. I am hearing some people getting annoyed with the way they are approaching their politics in the 4th season. Which, I hope they don't become like the generic type where they're just, this is Trump, and this is this is that. The Boys is usually very smart with satire. It's like it criticizes both perspectives. Like it shows both perspectives where they're wrong, both where they're right, both where they both have a point, both when they don't have a point, or it just completely mocks the shit out of both of them because they can both just be crazy extreme. I hope they don't say, okay, now we're going to pick a side, because that will take away from the fun of what The Boys has always done throughout these 4 seasons, which is they just poke fun at everyone, if you know what I mean. Adam Grunther says, I think the funniest moments in the movie for me involved anger and Pouchy. I will say, one of the things that I found, Pouchy, there was a funny scene with that the audience did laugh at. It's this scene, like, if you know what I mean. That was funny. But no, the funniest thing for me personally was Anxiety. Anxiety, they put some real sinister characteristics into her. Like there's one scene with her, sadness, and a bucket. I think if you've seen the movie, you'll know which scene I'm talking about. But the scene that came before it, it was such a nice scene between the two where they were just talking like normally. And then Anxiety does something where I'm like, shit, that was a bit dark and like mean-spirited, and the audience laughed when they saw that. So that Anxiety was a good character, I will say that. Although I know it's kind of the point, just watching her gives you anxiety because she just moves so fast and is panicking so fast and has got like a million different thoughts in her mind, like all in like a second. Watching her kind of gives you anxiety. Adam Grunther says, Season 4 might actually be my favourite season so far. Homelander is at his most terrifying. That's good to hear, because yeah, Homelander, every season he gets more and more terrifying, because he gets more and more, like, it's like he's unwinding more and more. He's getting looser and more, like he's showing his true self to people. So yeah, by the time we get to the 5th season, I wonder if that's going to be when, the video comes out of what he did on that plane, and then he just goes all crazy, because we know it's going to build to that. I hope Amazon give the creators, the show the budget to actually illustrate that, because that could be that could be like Invincible Season 1 levels of destruction when Omni-Man was fighting his son. It can get crazy. That's okay, you're tearing me apart, Lisa. It's alright. Now... Joey says, I love Inside Out too, but I don't know if Pixar is really saved though. One great movie doesn't save a company. You are absolutely right. One movie does not save a company. So yeah, you're right on that, Joey. So yes, Disney, they need to look at this as the sign of what works, and then look at what everything else they've done, like Wish, and several of their other animated movies, like Lightyear, and say, alright, what didn't work? So yeah, it's not saved them. They're still in deep, deep trouble. It's like when Deadpool and Wolverine comes out next month, it's gonna do well. But the mainstream media and the people out there, you will be a damn fool if you see the performance of Deadpool and Wolverine and say, the MCU is saved. It's not. Deadpool and Wolverine is very much doing a nostalgia play, and it's doing it in a way that's smart, but comes from the mind of Ryan Reynolds and Hugh Jackman. So they are the ones that are doing very well with this, and they are from the Fox regime. The Disney Marvel regime is still coming out with all these reshoots, and they still cannot get a bloody Blade movie out. Which I think leads us into our next story. We'll move on to our next story right now, which is about Blade. This is an article from The Hollywood Reporter, which is titled, Why Blade Can't Cut Through Development Hell. And it's an interesting read in there. And they've got some interesting insights as to what's going on, but they do try to do something, which in a minute I'll talk about, which I'm not too fond of. But yes, Blade has just been going through development hell. It was announced 5 years ago, and we still have got no movie. Let's move this over. So, what does this mean? Let's go over to my notes here. Now, Marvel basically gave Mahershala Ali, they gave him a list of directors, and when Ali looked through them, as expected, they were cheap directors that had only done low budget films and things, and they hadn't even done many films. And when Ali looked through them, he thought they weren't experienced at the big budget studio level, so he chose his own director. And what is going on now that a second director has left the process, the Hollywood Reporter article is basically saying that Mahershala Ali never agreed to a script and is dragging the process along. And honestly, to that, I've got to say what I've always said. That's because it's Marvel, Disney Marvel, and they have been writing so many terrible scripts, over the last few years, I'd say. So I'm not surprised he's been saying no. It's because they must have been giving him crap script after crap script. Of course he's going to say no. What else is he going to say to that? Before we continue, though, let me quickly answer one of your questions, because one of you has done a donation through Streamlabs. So let's see, what is you guys asking? Iron Warrior, who's done a £3.96 Streamlabs chat. Thank you very much, bud. I really appreciate that. He goes, yeah, with season 4 of The Boys, the show apparently got review bombed because of some of the depictions of the Trump and his voters, saying that the show is going broke, apparently. But this season has 21% more viewers from the last season. That is interesting. Because I've seen shows where they rid characters of development because they're saying, well, yeah, this is the Trump character, but it's like, yeah, but can't he have an interesting backstory? Can't he have, interesting development? No, he's just a sexist a-hole. I did not like that about the whole thing that they were doing with Trump in movies at the time. It's like they just deprived the character of character development and said, well, it's okay because this is supposed to be Trump. It's like, that's not making a good movie, though. So, yeah, I can imagine why some people will be annoyed with that. But if it's the supporters being annoyed with that, I don't know. I feel like I have to see it to know what they're really getting annoyed at. Since I've not seen it yet, I don't know what they're getting annoyed at. But yeah, I can imagine that would pee them off. So thanks for the super chat, buddy, by the way. I always appreciate it. And we've also got a $5 super chat now from Batman's Gamer, who said, Blade was going to be set in the 1920s, have his daughter. Ali has cleared a schedule for the past 5 years. Now he's in the new Jurassic World movie. Yeah, the reason why is because he's not been... Usually he has to keep his schedule clear, but he's been keeping it clear for 5 years. But the fact that he's he's taken an opportunity like this, shows that he knows the movie's not going to get done anytime soon, and he's like, I'm not waiting anymore. So when the movie's ready, let me know, and then we'll talk about me freeing up some time. But right now, I'm using my time to be in a movie, in a big movie. Because it's been 5 years ago, his Oscar capital for winning his second Oscar, it's like it's starting to dwindle. He's not really gotten anything out of it. So yeah. And yes, it was going to be set in the 1920s, as Batman's Gamer says here, but then it was also going to be set in modern time as well. So they kept going back and forth between 1920s, period piece, modern time, and yeah, it's just a big fat mess is what it is. So yeah, and congratulations, King of the Monsters. Very, very well done. Now, let's get back to what I was talking about. Okay. Now, back to the bad scripts that I was talking about. The bad scripts being written were not his fault. As we've seen, it's Marvel's fault for the bad scripts. But the only reason they've been having these projects, go into production is because Marvel think, yeah, it doesn't matter if it's a bad script, let's just start shooting it anyway, and then we can fix stuff in post and then rewrite things. Look what they're doing with Captain America Brave New World. That movie was already completely shot. But about 70 to 80% of the movie they're trying to reshoot and they're trying to rewrite, including bringing in a brand new villain, which is Giancarlo Esposito. So they think they can just rewrite this stuff, and it's not working out for them. Don't be surprised if Captain America 4 is a bad movie and it flops. And we'll talk a bit more about that in the next story. But yes, it is really ridiculous, and I didn't like how the Hollywood Reporter in the article was saying that Marvel always wait for their scripts to be written so they have a solid foundation to go off of, and then they can write, make their movies. Since when has Marvel done that? They've never done that. They've started shooting when a script has been incomplete. So I don't know what Hollywood Reporter is trying to It's like this article is trying to put the blame on Mahershala Ali and take the blame off of Marvel. But everyone knows at this point, script problems, production problems, all this stuff is a Marvel thing, not a Mahershala Ali thing. The only reason he's stalling the project is because Marvel keep giving him bad scripts, and he's the only one that has dignity and self-respect in the MCU to say no. Unlike Chris Hemsworth and many of these other actors who say, yeah, we'll work on Thor Love and Thunder, we'll work on She-Hulk, we'll work on the Marvels, all this stuff. He actually said no and wanted a good movie. And Marvel don't know how to deliver one. And I don't think they ever will, because I don't think Disney Marvel, will go all the way with these characters like they need to. So I don't think this movie will ever get done. And I don't think it will ever do a good job either. So the bad scripts are not his fault. So when this movie is being stalled, again, not his fault, even though the Hollywood Reporter is kind of trying to say that when you read the article. Or the insiders that are giving them this information are trying to frame it. Regardless, I will say, are you telling me that Ali allowed a script to be written where he was the fourth lead in his own movie to 3 female leads who would constantly give him life lessons? That sounds exactly like something that Disney Marvel would do. It doesn't sound like something the main star who used his Oscar capital to get this movie made would do. So yeah, this whole thing of the production being stalled, it's only because Mahershala Ali has standards and he wants to make a great movie, and Marvel don't have it in them, at least right now, to make that great movie. Tharan says something interesting. He goes, James Wan has experience with horror and action. He'd be a great choice for Blade. Yeah, if you watch that Kevin Bacon movie that he made earlier on in his career, I can't remember the name of it, but that was a good movie that can show that he's got the blood and the action down. It was like a slaughterhouse kind of film. That was something that I feel like, yeah, he could do. Now, there was something in the article that was kind of bizarre. It said Ali has envisioned Blade to be his Black Panther. Now, what does that mean? That honestly sounds ridiculous when you first hear it. What, he wants Blade to be like Black Panther, to be his Black Panther? Now, there are 2 ways to interpret this. One, Mahershala Ali wants this movie to be culturally impactful like Black Panther, which for Blade doesn't make sense as the two characters are nothing alike. And two, the second way to interpret this is that he wants the character to essentially take the place that Black Panther left, as the spot for the main black lead is now left open, waiting for someone to fill it. And no, I don't think that Falcon, as the new Captain America, fills that spot. Not only because I did not like his Falcon the Winter Soldier show, where he was rejecting the shield for some reason, even though saying he would do his best, because the writing didn't give you a reason as to why he left the shield. But it's like they just wanted it to seem deep and emotional, so they said he's left it. And then he got it in the end, and that show was just bad. And I don't think the movie is going to do particularly well either. The fact they're rewriting as much as they are, reshooting and everything, that does not sound good. That sounds like we're in for a movie that Marvel are not satisfied with. And then you're hearing rumors going around of test screenings going on where internally people are watching what Marvel have done and they don't like it. And these are the Disney employees that don't like it. They are the test screeners here. Just goes to show, I don't think that, the Black Captain America that they wanted to lead the Avengers or whatever, I don't think that's going to work out. I don't think people are going to resonate with that movie. I think they're going to just think it's bad. So yeah, I don't think Falcon will fit it, Captain America. The Black Captain America, I don't think he's going to be it. So I think Mahershala Ali wanted to take the place of Black Panther as the character he was. But yeah. But I will say, if it is that first point that Mahershala Ali could be... If it is that first point that he wants it to be culturally impactful like Black Panther, then Mahershala Ali could potentially be one of the people that is making Blade a problem. He might not be doing good with the project like we think he is. Because Blade is nothing like Black Panther. Black Panther is someone who belongs to a tribe and sticks by his tribe. Blade is a loner who slays vampires, but is also himself half vampire. Blade is closer to an anti-hero and is one of the much darker characters that belongs in the R-rated world. So if Ali really wants him to be like the best Black... So if Ali really wants him to be like, Black Panther, then he has a fundamental lack of understanding of the character, I think. That said, I'm willing to give him the goodwill. I'm willing to give him goodwill and say that he's referring to the second thing, which is to fill the spot left behind by T'Challa. So, what do you guys think of this story? The G-Gamer says, what are your thoughts on the original Blade movies? I liked Blade 1, and I really liked Blade 2. Blade 3, I did not like. I liked it when I was younger, but when I watched it as I was older, I just really did not like it. It just it just got worse on that viewing. And the casting they did for Dracula in that movie was just bad. I think it was the Prison Break guy, if I remember correctly. Fireboy says, Marvel need to cancel Blade because Mahershala Ali is getting old now. Yeah, he was 45 when he wanted to be in, when he called Marvel up and asked them that he wants to be in a Blade movie. Now he's 50. And it was funny to hear the reaction from Wesley Snipes when he was asked about the movie not really being, kind of being in limbo. His reaction was funny. Look it up. George Phillips says, Blade just doesn't excite me for some reason. That's because it's in the hands of Disney Marvel. We know they're not willing to go far with it. If Blade was shown in trailers and everything and images that he was going to be a very dark movie with blood and vampires and everything, then it would be very interesting to you. It would be very different from what Marvel have made previously. But they're not interested in doing that. They just want to keep making the same crap they've always been making. So yeah, it's really not good on them, I would say. Trevor Bistro says, how about John Carpenter directing Blade? I don't know. What has he directed recently? I've not really paid attention to his recent work, but I would like to know what he's done recently. Jake says, oh, hi Jake, great to see you. Jake says, the MCU is going in a downward spiral. It sure is, but the thing is, it's been going in a down, it's been going in a downward spiral for a long time now. It's just continuing to spiral. I've got a $1 super chat here from smart.og, and it says, that's your first super chat, buddy. Thank you very much. It says, let's celebrate their first super on a live stream. Thank you very much. I appreciate that here. Give you a heart on that and a thumbs up. And then we've got Batman's Gamer, who says a $2 super chat and says, Van Helsing 2004, best vampire film hands down. I will say, I really like that movie. I really do. Even though a lot of people say it's bad, I really enjoyed it. And I liked Hugh Jackman as Van Helsing in it as well. Spider Guy says, give Blade back to New Line Cinema. They might as well, because it is a Warner Brothers company, but we know Warner Brothers are willing to go far when it comes to these movies. And give them like an $80 million budget or something with Blade, make it rated R. I'd trust them to do something cool with it. More than I would Disney. Let's see. I think I got another. Did I get another Streamlabs chat? Oh no, is this? It's not. It's the same one. That's good. I'm on top of them. That's good. Review says, do you think that Blade will be rated R? Well, here's the thing. It was said by someone, I don't know if it was a producer or someone at Marvel, they said it will be rated R, but Marvel have not come out and corroborated that. When someone says that, Marvel is supposed to come out and say, yes, officially, Blade will be rated R. But they've not said that. So, until they come out and say it, they won't. I don't think it is going to be rated R, to be perfectly honest with you. But it bloody well should be, and I think they know now that they're going to get a lot of backlash if it isn't. Saeed, Blade is supposed to be getting rebooted, yes. That's what this is essentially supposed to be. Thuran says, both actors having creative control of the script. Yeah, Marvel want to go ahead with a crappy script, and Mahershala Ali wants them to give him a good script, and it's taken them 5 years and they still haven't done that. That tells you a lot, doesn't it, about the current state of Marvel? Saeed says, I'm getting a Wolverine Deadpool necklace. It's actually cool. Was that you, Saeed, saying it earlier that you're getting a Wolverine and Deadpool necklace? Is that something they're selling lately, or is this something that's always been in the market? Ooh, Universal says, what about Sam Raimi directing Blade? That sounds like it could be cool. Although, he would need to stick to his horror roots more, because I don't think adding his kind of humor in Blade would work. But then again, who knows? Maybe it would. Maybe it would be better, his trademark style of humor that he puts in his like Evil Dead movies, than Marvel's kind of crappy humor. Kevin says, did you hear about Justin Timberlake? I did. I was thinking of putting that in as a story, but then I thought, nah, not really. It's not that interesting. Let's talk about something else. Oh, hi Jess. Good to see you back. And someone has sent me a Streamlabs chat. Let's see. King of the Monsters says, he's giving me a £1 super chat and says, fake posters of the day. Okay, so you've got 2 posters. I don't know if I'm actually going to show these, but let's take a look at the 2 first. Let me see. Okay, then, let me... Let's put it in here. Give me a second, guys. One of them has sent me a couple of images they want to show. go. Save that one. And save that one. And let's go right here. This is something that King of the Monsters decided to send me. So, and because he did it as a super chat, sorry, a Streamlabs chat, shows he's put in the effort, so let's see here. Alright. These are the two images that he sent me. Sharknado. The ultimate disaster from nature, and then you got Godzilla Monster Apocalypse. Ooh, Big Bash. Eric, I finished Avatar The Last Airbender, and it is one of the best shows ever. I'm on Korra now. Yeah, Avatar The Last Airbender really is one of the best shows ever. It is my best show ever, my personal favorite. So yes, fantastic show. Korra is nowhere near as good. It's fun and it's good, but it's not excellent and amazing like, you know, Last Airbender. And you always feel sad in Korra because you're flashing forward to the next Avatar. That means Aang is dead. And the other characters are either old or dead as well, so it's sad. The Time Shadow says, do we know for certain that Disney hasn't tainted Deadpool and Wolverine? I don't know if we do know that for sure, to be perfectly honest with you. Movie Fan says, I've seen Inside Out 2. It was great. Looking forward for your versus video on the film, even more than your Godzilla x Kong versus video. That Godzilla x Kong versus video should hopefully come to you today, so stay tuned. It won't be straight after the live stream, but it'll be a few hours after, so you can take a break, and then you've got that Godzilla vs. Kong video waiting for you. Captain Eric, look what Trevor said. What did Trevor say? That sounds like some kind of sitcom. Ooh, Matt Reeves directing Blade. Ooh, just imagine that. Like a lot of the facial expressions kind of like storytelling that he does. That would be pretty cool, that would. And Matt Reeves is very good with horror as well, so yeah, that would be awesome. You're tearing me apart. I don't think if the way he died, I've heard of the way that Sokka died on YouTube, but that was more of a fan written thing. So that was fan written, so that wasn't the actual way. If you're saying that, was it Tarlok that killed him? That wasn't real. I thought it was too, but turns out it wasn't. Unless there's another way that they've officially told us how he dies, but I feel like they wouldn't. Jake says R rating doesn't automatically mean good. It doesn't, but it is a track. You got to put your movie on the right track, at least, so you know it's heading in the right direction. If it's on a PG-13 track, it's heading in the wrong direction. So the R rating is a track, and then you got to build from there. So that doesn't mean it's automatically good, but it means you put it on the right track. Yeah, Universal, I would agree with that. Christopher Nolan directing Blade. Nah, I don't see that. Khan says, I hope Deadpool Wolverine succeed to where Marvel can realize that R-rated movies can work in the MCU. Yeah, we'll have to see. But then, even then, I feel like they're still not going to let them be as R-rated as they need to be. I think they're still going to, you know, put control on it and not allow it to be as, you know, as violent as it can be, or as adult or mature as it can be. Patrick Stahl says, is Blade an important character in the comics? I've literally never heard of this dude until the MCU announced a movie. The best thing to know about Blade is that he made 2 badass movies in the 90s, back when comic book movies were dead, and they needed resurrecting, and that's where Marvel came in. Marvel came in, and they gave us Blade 1. It was great. They gave us Blade 2. People say it was even better. Then we had the first X-Men movie, and then we had Spider-Man from Sony. It was them that was really, like, putting them on track. And then after Spider-Man 1, we got Spider-Man 2 and X-Men 2. And then we, after that, got Batman Begins from Warner Brothers. And comic book movies from that point on were really, like, you know, taking off. So yeah. Big Bash, where is your comment? Eric, I got surgery on my toe. I'm okay if you're wondering. Ooh, I got surgery on my toe. And, well, it wasn't really surgery. It was my toenail. Was it my main? No, it was my middle toe. So you got your big toe. It wasn't that one. It was this one. This toe. Imagine your foot. It was that toe. Yeah, my sister lifted her boot right next to my foot, and my nail just got, like, lifted all the way up. And it was attached, like, about 20% of it was still attached to my skin, and my toe was bleeding. I had to take my sock off. I was like, what have you done? It really hurts. I took my sock off, saw blood at the end of my toe, and it was lifted, the toenail. And yeah, I had to be in the walk-in center for hours, and then they had to, like, you know, take the nail off. Imagine seeing the toenail of yours, but the nail is completely off, and they had to put a bandage on it, and you had to be careful walking around on it. It felt so weird to have the toe without the nail, and you could just feel the bare skin underneath, just have the air go over it. That was horrible. And my uncle, who a long time ago also had something similar as well, which is interesting. But yeah, I'm sorry to hear that, Big Bash. I hope it didn't hurt when you were going through it, and I hope you feel better right now as well. You're tearing me apart says, would you consider making a Morbius versus Madam Web video? Oh, what have I done? What have I done to deserve such cruelty? Why do you hate me? You're tearing me apart. Well, it's kind of in your name. You're tearing me apart? You are literally tearing me apart. Oh, look at that, Jake. King of the Monsters? No, they didn't stitch the nail back. They had to take it off, basically, and then it had to regrow again. Jake, thank you very much. That is a $28 donation. Thank you very much for your generous donation, Jake. I always appreciate it whenever you donate these sums. Do you feel like Pixar isn't as good as they used to be, by the way? That, combined with the recent news of what happened, makes me think they're on a downward spiral. Anyways, imagine Steven Spielberg doing Blade. What would that be? Yes, they are going down a downward spiral, but Inside Out 2, it's not a win. I'll tell you that right now. It's not a win. In terms of, like, putting Pixar back on the map. It's not that good that it gets them out of the rut that they're in. But it's the first step to showing they're improving. They're not at their Pixar level yet, but they need to work their way back up. This is one step in the right direction, and hopefully the box office performance encourages them to keep going in this direction. Not to go back to the crap they were doing before, like with, what was that crappy movie called? Wish. Where the villain's motivation wasn't even villainous, but they were saying he was the villain. Then they make him read an evil book and say, see, now he's definitely the villain. I thought the hero in that was kind of stupid, if you ask me. Patrick Styles says, have you actually seen Madam Web? Yes, I have. Me and my brother saw it, and we laughed our asses off all the way through the film. Ooh, King of the Monster says, Eric, Morbius versus Madam Web. I might pay for $300 a month subscription for custom versus videos. Well, like I said, if you do, then that's on my to-do list, and I have to do it. So, oh boy, yeah. Well, the Time Shadow. I'm glad you agree then. He says, ooh, Morbius versus Madam Web. That sounds like a video that I would gladly watch. Well, yeah, if it's commissioned, then yeah, I will have to make it. I won't look forward to it, but I'll have to make it. Oh, I'll have to watch both of those movies again. Big Bash says, thank you for your prayers, Eric. I'm doing fine, and I always appreciate when you look out for us. No problem at all, and I'm glad that you appreciate that. Anthony 1 says, I would like to see a versus between Inside Out 1 and 2. Don't worry, I am doing it. Alright then, time to move on to the next story. Before we do, I want to quickly answer something from Universal. It says, hey Eric, which horror villain you like better? Freddy from Nightmare on Elm Street or Michael from Halloween? Freddy from Elm Street. More personality and you never get bored of him. Michael Myers, eventually you kind of get what his shtick is and you get bored of him. Alright. Okay, here we go. So, let me quickly answer what Jake said about Steven Spielberg directing Blade. I forgot to answer that question, part of the question. I don't really know. What would that even look like? Is there anything he's made that you can compare that to? I don't really think there is, to be perfectly honest with you. But, yeah, Spielberg making Blade, that doesn't massively intrigue me. You need a director that knows more about horror. And he knows about suspense, but you also need horror, I think. So that's what I would say. Alright then. Next story is, are the Russo Brothers really back in the MCU? Well, first thing to point out... is that they're not really back. They're just back on as producers. And what are they producing? Captain America Brave New World. Now, let me tell you what I think is going on here. I think that Kevin Feige knows that this movie is in trouble. He knows he needs the Russo brothers back. He doesn't want to hire them back, because I think they were taking a lot of the praise away from him. So most likely he was like, I'm not going to hire you guys back, because if you fix this mess, people will really look at you and think you guys are the ones that were making the MCU as successful as it was. People will think then, they don't need me. Because the higher up at Disney, this is a serious thing, the higher up at Disney will look at Kevin Feige and think, yeah, the Russo brothers fixed everything. You've made a mess out of everything. The Russo brothers did great with The Winter Soldier, Civil War, Infinity War, and Endgame. And they made the best movies in the MCU. Turns out you had nothing to do with it. Turns out you had everything to do with this mess that was going on here. So they can, if the Russo brothers come in and fix everything, Feige could get fired. The only reason I can imagine he would bring them on is if he's going to get fired right now, and then Feige says to Bob Iger, alright, I'll try to fix things, and then he'll bring the Russo brothers on, only to keep his job for a few months longer, or a couple years longer, rather than getting fired immediately. That's the only way I think Feige will bring the Russo brothers back to direct a big movie in the MCU. But basically, when you read this article, it says, Russo brothers are back. Kevin Feige bringing back Avengers Endgame directors when the MCU needed them the most, and fans couldn't be happier with this rumor. It's important to note that this is a rumor. I looked at IMDb for Captain America Brave New World, and there was no, Russo brothers in the producing credits. So, yeah, it turns out, very much so, that this is just a rumor, so hold on to it as a rumor and take it with a grain of salt. Is it going to happen? I mean, what does a producer even mean? It can mean everything or nothing. And at this stage in the production, I'm sure it means nothing. I think because, they've wrote it the first time, they wrote it the second time, they're reshooting it now. What can the Russo brothers do now? They're already reshooting it, way into reshooting it, deep into reshooting it. The only thing I think that can be done now is stick the Russo brothers' name onto it, so this dud of a movie that is going to fail, all of a sudden it won't look like it's as big a failure. People will look at it and think, oh, if the Russo brothers are producing it, then it's gotta be a good movie, because they directed Endgame and all these others. So I think putting them on is a marketing move. So when the promotional material for the film comes out and all the interviews and the press junkets, they can be like, the Russo brothers are producing this movie. What was it like having them on set? Even though they probably just visited the set once. That's what they're probably going to do. I think they're trying to deceive everyone here. So don't fall for this. Even if this does end up being true, right now it's just a rumor. But even if it does end up being true, it doesn't mean anything at this point. If it meant something, it would mean that they would come on as producers right from the beginning of the whole production, before the script was even written. But coming in now, not only is unusual, but it is downright desperate. So do not buy into any of this. I wouldn't trust it. You shouldn't trust it. The only thing you should get from this is that Marvel are downright desperate. So yeah, that's what I would say about it. And it's interesting because the Russo brothers right now are directing another movie for Netflix. And the movie, I can't remember the name of it, but apparently it's on Netflix and it's got over a $300 million budget. And it's got Millie Bobby Brown in it, it's got Anthony Mackie in it, and it's got a couple of other actors in it. So right now they're busy directing that, and their movies outside of the MCU have not been good. And I was looking forward to them at the time, I remember. So yeah. Universal says, imagine Kevin Feige getting fired. I think he could at this point, because look at all his projects. The only one that's going to be making some proper money now is going to be Deadpool and Wolverine, but that's got nothing to do with him. That's got everything to do with everyone else. You know, like the Fox regime. And, you know, the fact that the Fox regime made a success with the R rating, which is the only reason this movie's getting rated R, you know, Deadpool and Wolverine. So yeah, it's just a big mess. Electric State, that is it, Khan. Thank you very much for correcting me on that. That is it. For some reason, whenever I see Electric State, it always makes me think electric chair for some reason. But yeah, that's basically what's going on. So yeah, the Russo Brothers, they're not back. They're only back once they've said that we're going to work on a project and we're going to write the script for it. But the fact that they're coming in now, if it really is true they're coming in now, is just a moot point. It really means nothing. And when articles like this are trying to say fans couldn't be happier, it's like, couldn't be happier of what? Just because their name is there doesn't mean they're going to be a part of it. Christopher Nolan's name was one of the producers of Joss Whedon's Justice League, and look how that turned out. So, yeah, it doesn't mean nothing. The Time Shadow says, I like the Russo Brothers, Anthony Mackie, and Millie Bobby Brown, so that sounds good. Well, let's hope so. But their movies, they've not been good. They've got some fun moments, but as whole movies, they've not been good post-MCU. So, yeah. Nate says that he's excited for the Thunderbolts. Well, I'm glad you're excited, but I personally am not, because it just seems like Marvel's PG-13 Suicide Squad. Yeah, Chris Pratt is also in it, The Time Shadow. There were other names on there, which I thought were quite impressive. So maybe that's where all the money is going towards. Also, apparently, one of their crew members outside of the production died. So the movie, I think, had a delay for some reason. I don't know what crew member could die that it would have a delay, but interesting. Jake was right to Time Shadow. Of course he is, like Chris Pratt. Yeah. Universal says, imagine James Gunn in charge of the MCU. Yeah, I wouldn't really want him in charge of the MCU. I mean, he could do a better job than Kevin Feige, but I don't know. I feel like I want someone with an edge coming in. You know, no more goofy people, like, controlling all this stuff. That's why I hope James Gunn does give DC an edge. He said he would, so let's hope he does. King of the Monster says, Eric, if you're going to make a versus video against foreign films, will you watch dub or sub? Well, it depends on the quality of the dub. If it's a crappy dub, I'll watch the sub. If it's a good dub, then I will watch the dub. It really depends. Joshman says, Eric, I think you meant Lightyear from Pixar than Wish, because Wish was a Disney animated project. It's all under Disney anyway, so even though it's a Pixar thing, I know what you mean. Yeah, that's why I also did mention Lightyear earlier. Probably not this time, but earlier I did. Yeah, I just mean in general. This is, it's not looking good for Marvel. Sorry, for Disney and Pixar. But thing is, Disney and Pixar, their movies just look like they... Before, there used to be a distinction between the two, but now they just look exactly the same. So, yeah. King of the Monster says, right, because ever since you announced the custom Versus subscription, my idea was surging with Versus battles between Toho's Godzilla movies. These commissioned Versus videos will be public at least, right? They will. You will get early access to them, being the person that commissioned them, and so will every other patron who has got the early access for Versus videos perk. But yeah, for everyone else, it will become public afterwards. Universal says, are you going to see Terrifier 3 this October and Beetlejuice 2 this September? Terrifier 3, no. I'll wait for it to come out at home. I don't need to see it in theatres. Beetlejuice 2, I will see, because I'll do a versus video with the first film. Joshman says, excuse me, I don't know why my nose is clogging up a little. Maybe it's the heat in here, because it is really hot. Joshman says, Eric, would you agree that Lightyear was completely woke, especially with this messaging and the way how things were handled? Well, I would say yes, it was. Just in the fact that they were trying to, like, every step of the way, they were trying to show Buzz as being this insensitive piece of shit who is completely incompetent. Not at all did he feel like Buzz Lightyear. At all. Not even the Buzz Lightyear that didn't know he was a toy in the first movie. You would expect his character to be something like that. But it was nothing like that. It's like they went out of their way to make him look like a right piece of shit. And I don't like that they did that. I thought that was very bad. And they tried to make all the other characters... It's like they didn't even give him, like, basic manners. It's like, what are you doing here? It's like, do you know people talk about the toxic white male? Like, that's a toxic white male. I feel like the writers genuinely did think toxic white male. Like, the crazy social media type of people was somehow given the keys to write the script. And also, a lot of the movie just didn't feel like it had anything to do with Toy Story. It felt like a lot of people said, it felt like it was just some spaceman script that Disney had laying around. And they said, here, put some Toy Story references in there and call it Lightyear. And it sucked. Patrick Style, have you heard of the recent Acolyte stuff? I have, and I'm not surprised. Khan says, I'm going off topic, but I really enjoy all the streams that you're doing every week that you're doing. Oh, thanks very much. I really appreciate that. I'm glad you enjoy the streams. It really does take a lot out of me in terms of energy, especially now that we're in the summer and I'm in the attic. I'm exhausted being in here. So I'm glad you are enjoying the stream. Jake says, would you say Lightyear is the worst Pixar film, or is there another film they made that's worse? Was Cars made by Pixar? Because if it was, I'd say that was worse. But Lightyear was so bad in its own way. King the Monster says, by the way, can I pay... Oh, where'd it go? Where'd it go? There it is. King the Monster says, by the way, can I pay up $300, request the video, and immediately cancel my subscription? You can, but it's not going to charge you again until 30 days after you made your payment. So I'd recommend just to make sure it goes through, keep it there for at least a week, then cancel, just to make sure. Cole says, and are we at the Q&A now? Yes, I would say we are at the Q&A, because I don't think anyone else is asking any questions about the Russo Brothers. Universal says the Russo Brothers should replace Kevin Feige completely. Well, I've been saying that for a long time, and that's not happened. I think now it's too late, because the MCU is too much of a mess. Funny says, I feel like there are only small percentages of studios care of the quality like video games, movies, TV shows. Yeah, but then they realize the movies fail and flop. And when they flop, they want it all of a sudden then the quality to boost up so they get people back in the seats. Just keep the quality good and people will always come back to the seats. They won't have to go through this. Yeah, classic Brickman. I never really liked Cars. Oh, Jacinda says, yes, it was. So, there you go. Cars is the worst. I never liked Cars. I remember I saw it in the cinema as a kid. I felt so sorry for bringing my dad in to watch the movie because I said it's produced by the guy that made The Incredibles, so it's gotta be good. Turns out, that's what I realized, the hard lesson when I was a kid. Just because it's produced by someone, that doesn't mean anything. King of the Monster says, and it's $300 per video idea, right? Like, I can't just pay, dump in 10 different ideas and leave it at that. Yeah, you can't. It's per video idea. 2 movies versus each other. That's what it is. Is it $300 from what you're seeing? Let me double check. Oh, from mine it says $350. If you want a quick movie review or quick show review, then yeah, it'll be $200 or $300. But the Versa video says $350 from what I see. $350, buddy. $300 is for quick show reviews where I watch a TV show and I review the TV show. And $200 is where I review the movie. For those of you who don't know what King of the Monsters is talking about, he's talking about my commission videos that I allow on Patreon, where I'll make you a dedicated quick movie review or a brand new show, which is quick show reviews, exclusive for Patreons, that is. Or I'll do a versus video or a three-way versus video. You can commission all of those and request those from me on my Patreon. I'm already working on one, it's a Puss in Boots versus video for Gregory Bronstein, who's commissioned it. So I'm already hard at work on that. Script I'm still going through. And yeah. So if anyone else wants to get in on that, you can. Just know, once the spots are taken, they're taken, and you can't get back in after that. The people own those spots then. Classic Brickman says, Eric, what is your favourite Pixar movie? I'd say Toy Story 3. And if not Toy Story 3, then The Incredibles. Jess says, Eric, I'm sorry for missing this Russo Brothers segment because I was sad and disappointed that my questions haven't been answered. I didn't come to the stream for nothing. Jess, I think out of all my viewers, you are the one whose questions I answer far more than anyone else. Because you always message me on Patreon, and I message you there. So if I missed your comment, like I say, super chats are the way, because there's a lot of comments here. It's hard to scrub through all of them. So if you really want it seen, I've always said that's the best way to do it. Because I'm just reading these as I go. And if you really want your question answered, it has to be highlighted in some sort of way. And it'll be highlighted if you either do a super chat, like Batman's Gamer has done here, which we'll answer in a second, or if you become a YouTube member, and I'll always see a star next to your name, and it will be always easy for me to recognize your comment. So, YouTube member, super chat, or Streamlabs chat is the definitive way I will definitely answer your question. Okay, so let's see. What was Batman's Gamer asking? He says, hey Eric, have you seen the new Superman set photos asked by Fireboy? Oh, I did, but I can't tell if they're real or not. Some people said that they're fake, like they're not real, so I'm not sure. Batman, see, I like how generous you all are. Batman's Gamer's like, I got you, Fireboy. Well, you really have. He's asked your question for you. That's very good. Saeed says it best, Jess. I'm not avoiding your questions. I'm reading the questions as they come. He says, just enjoy the live stream, man. There's a lot of people on here that are asking questions. Yeah, there are a lot, and it's impossible for me to do all of them. Classic Brickman, I really enjoyed WALL-E, but I liked the movie better when he was on that planet on his own. It became like a silent movie. Pixar was so great at those. So I enjoyed that. The rest of the movie was good too, but I enjoyed that the most. Jess says, thank you, Dark Lord. At least you're the one who is supportive to me. Well, what did the Dark Lord say? Oh, okay. Don't worry, I see your comments. Jess, just post your comments again. Like I said, there's a lot of them here, so if I don't see it, post it again and I'll see it then. Sonic, OTP says, will you do a versus video of Inside Out 1 and Inside Out 2? Yes, I will. I'm writing it. The script right now is 10 minutes. My videos are usually longer, so I'm going to have to still rewrite it and everything, make sure I get all my points in there, make sure I balance the points out, and then I've got to make the script longer, and then do the same thing with that, and then I've got to read it out, so. And it'll be harder to do with this summer heat. 25 degrees it is right now, and I'm in the attic, so that's super hot. My family in the middle of the house up one flight of stairs says it's quite hot, but 2 flights of stairs where I am, it's far worse. Funny says, hey Eric, I would like to say you make me inspired to make my own movie that I'm still writing. Plus I found the YouTuber who teach people how to write, for example, 5 best action tropes writing advice. Yeah. You're not the only one that said that to me, that my videos do that, so I really appreciate that. Thanks very much for letting me know about that. Bistro says, what's your thoughts on Doctor Sleep? I really like Doctor Sleep. I thought it was a very good movie. I liked it better than The Shining. It actually made The Shining better a movie to me as well. So yeah, I really enjoyed it. Excuse me. I think I've been talking a lot. I don't know why. My nose is just leaking a little. Yeah, Celsius, Batman's Gamer. Celsius. I should make that clear. 25 degrees Celsius. Not 25 degrees Fahrenheit. Saeed says, yeah, the temperature is so humid in the UK. Okay, are there any other questions? Any other super chats? Any other Streamlabs chats or whatever that you guys want to ask? Because in 30 minutes, I think we'll call the stream an end. Saeed says we have a heat wave incoming. Yep, and I'm not looking forward to it. Jake, I know you're a bit of a question guy. Hey Eric, have you seen Never Hike Alone 2 yet? I don't think I have. That's from Universal. Cole says, would Guardians 3 still be an 8 out of 10 for you? Yes, it still would be. Batman's Gamer says, when is the Godzilla and Kong vs. video coming? It will come a few hours after this live stream. I'll publish it for you guys and you can watch it then. So you'll get a bit of a break from me, and then you'll be able to watch the versus video. Jake says, by the way, what are your thoughts on Home Alone? I kind of like it, but not as much as other people, to be honest. Go ahead and watch my YouTube, my versus video of the first Home Alone with the Disney remake version they did, whatever it was, the sequel. I talk about Home Alone in that video, and I really did enjoy making that Home Alone video. A lot of Christmas music, Christmas decorations, Christmas backgrounds, Christmas thumbnail. So I'd highly recommend, Jake, that you watch that versus video. I really enjoyed making that one. King of the Monster says, will you ever expand your versus video commission slots? I feel like you can make more money off of more people. Well, let's see how it goes here first. If I get more people wanting to do more versus videos, then I could do it. But at the same time, I gotta put in a slot number that I can actually deal with, because I can't make too many versus videos if there's just say 10 slots open. So that's why I've really limited it. So that's why I say get in there fast, because once they're taken up, they've been taken up. And if you want to, you can request a versus video every single month. Fireboy says, I'm going to go, Eric. Bye. Well, take care, buddy. Thank you very much for joining the stream. Rohan says, have you heard that The Boys Season 5 will be the final season? Yes, I have. Miles, I don't think I have. Josh, man, it was uncalled for, and this was supposed to be the movie that Andy saw when he was, when Andy was, what was it? When Andy was a kid, that made him want the toy of Buzz Lightyear. And there's no way they would have allowed that in that kind of movie. Nothing about the movie. It's casting with Chris Evans and Taika Waititi and modern casting choices, modern gender politics choices. Just everything it was doing, nothing about it screamed a movie and that a kid would watch in the 90s, which is when I was born. So this should have been a movie that, appealed to me nostalgically, just like a lot of other 80s movies appeal to other people who grew up in the 80s nostalgically. But it didn't. It was very bad what they did. And the fact that they tried to put, gender politics, and that made no sense, because people were criticizing them for not putting gender politics into one of their previous movies. But then this one, where there's a reason not to put it in, because it wouldn't be allowed in the 90s, they decide to put it in. It's like, what are you doing? You're not calculating where you put these messages in, so it doesn't make sense the way you're doing it. Jess has given... Wow, I didn't realize, Jess, this is your first ever super chat on a live stream. Wow. And a $5 super chat. Thank you very much, Jess. I don't know why. I always thought you did donate before on the YouTube stream. Maybe it was just on Patreon. Maybe that's what it was, and I'm getting it confused. Eric, Jess says, Eric, who is better, Jake Sully or Caesar? Because one is a fighter and other is avoiding it to have peace. Well, I would say Caesar. Jake Sully, he had a very good arc in there, but it was more expected. You know what I mean? It was like he walked in, he got to know the people, and then when they were coming to destroy the people, he was like, no, you can't. I've spent time with them. I know them. Caesar was different. He was someone that was born an ape, and he had the drug in his genes, you know, the drug that made these apes smarter. And he basically grew up with humans, and then after that, he had to end up going into like this place where like all these other apes were, which for the first time he's interacting with apes. He's never his own kind. He's never done that before. That alone is so much more deep than anything Jake Sully has done, which was more generic Hollywood movie, because Avatar's not the first one to do that kind of movie where someone goes in to kind of infiltrate and get to know the locals, and then they feel for the locals and they don't want to go back. I remember even Ice Age did that, you know, so it's a story that we've seen a lot. But what Caesar went through, and that's just like the beginning of it, what I'm mentioning, it went from Curious George to like the Shawshank Redemption very quick for Caesar, and he started to see the ugly side of humans, he started to see the ugly side of apes, and then seeing him have to like deal and cope with that, and then like get control of the situation, and then be the bridge between interacting with humans and apes. So much depth to his character. There really, really is. So, without a shadow of a doubt, Caesar is better to me. And thank you for the super chat, Jess. See, I said do a super chat or become a YouTube member. I'll see your comment. It makes it a lot easier. And in one go, I saw your comment. So keep that in mind in the future, because like I said, it is very hard to miss a lot of questions. I don't just miss yours, I miss a lot of people's questions, because there's just so much. It's so hard to do. King of the Monsters 2021 says, well, hopefully my revenue on YouTube will give me a way to make up for $350. Yeah. The reason I came up with that sum of money is because I took into account how long it would take for me to watch the movies, to then write the scripts, then record the scripts and edit the videos, animate the posters and everything, put in the music, level the music, everything I do, all while still making my usual content. So that's why I've priced it that way. It might seem high, but it really is because of the amount of work I have to do that goes into it. So that's why. So, but I look forward to doing whatever versus video you ask me to do, whatever it may be, good or bad. So yeah, let's go through and see. Holy moly, Jake, buddy. I really don't know what to say, Jake. After all these months it's been doing streams, you are absolutely unbelievable. A $140 donation. And again, I'm looking at the comments here. Holy cow, Jake. Damn, Jake. Wow. Lol, Curious George, that's a good comparison. Oh, I thank you, Jacinta. And it goes, damn, Jake, yo. Holy cow, Jake. Cole says he hasn't noticed yet. Yeah, I hadn't. Jake says, yeah, I'm overheated. Man, a lot of people, like, I always like how people react to Jake, but it's a conversation I've already had with Jake when he started donating these big sums on my channel. So I'm like, if Jake is doing it, he knows what he's doing at this point. Usually I was like, Jake, bro, you're crazy. But now, I appreciate it, Jake. Thank you very much. I really do appreciate the support. You guys are all so good to me. I really appreciate it. Always do. So, let's see what question you're asking. Here we go. Here it is. Who's your favorite character from these movies? The Jurassic Park movies, Guardians of the Galaxy, Megamind, Happy Death Day, Robot and Frank. I've not seen Robot and Frank, I'm sorry to say. Lego Movie, Hunger Games, and Scott Pilgrim. Anyways, what is your favorite game genre? By the way, I just overcooked in my hot tub. Yeah, I could imagine. I'm overcooking here. It's hot, and it's going to get even hotter in the coming months. So imagine doing a live stream then. I don't know what I'm going to do. We'll have to see. All right, let's go in order. So, favorite character from Jurassic Park? Alan. always I always thought Alan was my favorite character in Jurassic Park, the dinosaur man. You know, when I was younger, I always thought he was great. So definitely Alan, without a doubt. Guardians of the Galaxy, I will say now Rocket. Rocket because of the third movie. So yeah, Rocket. Megamind, I need to see that movie again. I've only seen it once when I was younger. That twist was fan-freaking-tastic and hilarious as all heck. So I can only really remember the two characters, to be honest. I think there was a girl character in there. Megamind, I'd say, was a great character, so I'll say him. Because once he accomplishes his goal, or he thinks he accomplishes his goal, the development he goes through I thought was fascinating. It was a cool angle to see on a villain. Robot and Frank, I'm sorry, I've not seen it. The Lego Movie, Lego Batman, of course, always my favorite character. I did a Versus video of the Lego Movie, so go check it out. It's my second ever Versus video that I did. And I did it with the Lego Batman movie. And then we got Hunger Games. My favorite character in Hunger Games, I would say, is... It is Peter. I thought he was a very good character. But if you want to bring villains into the conversation, I'd say Snow. President Snow. He was a very good villain. And Happy Death Day, my favorite character... Who is my favorite character in Happy Death Day? I guess it does have to be the main character, doesn't it? I can't remember her name, but it has to be her. She's got to be the main character, and the second one is her boyfriend. You know, he was a very good character too. So first and second place, I'd say, is probably that, and sometimes reverse depending on what my mood is. Let's see. Lego Movie, I've already said. Hunger Games, I've already said. And Scott Pilgrim, Chris Evans' character. It's such a shame he had such a small part in the movie, but he was really funny. So, yeah, those are my answers to your questions. And what is your favorite game genre? Third-person action game. I love those. I played. That's the thing that my collection is primarily consisted of, with PSP games and PS Vita games and PC games, PlayStation 4 games. Third-person action games. Even my emulated games. So yeah, thank you, Jake, very much for that. I really appreciate that. Really, I do. That was so kind and generous of you. Thank you very, very much. The G-Gamer says, not gonna lie, I would literally do a quick movie review commission just so Eric can put Megamind 2 on his worst list. Well, that is the only way it will end up on the worst list, because I'm not watching that movie on my own accord. I've ignored it. So yeah, if you want to do that, by all means, you probably... and if you do get that on my worst of list, if it does go on my worst of list, I'll credit you for it as well. I'll even say in my top 5 worst movies of 2024 that I was not even going to watch this movie until the G-Gamer commissioned me to do it on Patreon. And then I did, and I hated it. And depending how much I hated it, we'll see where it goes on that list. But that's if you commission it, because like I said, I'm not watching that on my own accord. Saeed says, Eric, I've been a long-time supporter of yours. My first ever video of you was the Spider-Man Versus video. Oh, really? That's a long time ago. Which one? Was it the Spider-Man 1 Versus video, or the Spider-Man 2 Versus video, or was it the Spider-Man 3 Versus video? I knew that would be like my sequel Versus videos I did. Connor, my YouTube membership here, YouTube membership viewer here, Connor, you can see he's got a star there. The longer he remains a member, and the same with you guys, that star will change to an eCotman 12 logo, and it will change throughout until it eventually has rubies and other stuff on it. But yeah, and again, I can see Connor's comment here because it has a star right next to it, so that's why I say these are ways to make sure your comments are highlighted. So yeah, otherwise, Connor, I probably wouldn't have seen it. There's a lot of comments here. So Connor says, Eric, have you seen Monarch Legacy of Monsters Season 1? I wanted to see it. My brother had a subscription to the Apple streaming service. But right around the time I asked him for it, he said it just went, basically, you know, his streaming subscription. And yeah, so... yeah, I've not seen it. I've seen a couple clips on YouTube, or was it Instagram, where they were putting the Godzilla clips in, and he's not in there much at all. that's what I don't like. Apparently it's going to be a very much character-based, but I don't know if I'm really interested in the whole Monarch side. If you are, I feel like that's what this is for. But yeah, I wasn't overly curious about that one, but maybe at some point I will. But on the other hand, maybe I won't. I don't know, the more I think about it, not too interested. Let me know what you thought of it. Maybe that'll change my mind, I don't know. And again, I keep saying I'm not going to see these things, but if someone commissions it on Patreon, then I would be then, so... Yeah, I don't know. I keep saying I won't, but it's in your guys' hands if I do. Jess says, Eric, you are forgiven. I was not mad at you, and trust me, I still love your videos and content. Yeah. Well, thank you very much, buddy. Let's see... Josh Man says, Eric, would you agree that the movie Lightyear was handled by a garbage Disney CEO, Bob Chapek? And would you agree that Pixar did not want to include any of these modern-day politics? No, Pixar did want to include those politics, because the people running Pixar wanted those politics in there. Bob Chapek was not the one that did it. I don't know why people say Bob Chapek, who was only CEO for a very limited amount of time. I don't know why people say it was his fault that this movie ended up being so bad. Remember, animated movies take years to make. So... there was no way that Chapek had control over greenlighting the movie, getting them to make the movie, and then releasing the movie all within 8 to 9 months, however long he was there for. That project, Lightyear, was greenlit by Bob Iger years prior. He greenlit it, he allowed it to happen, it was all done on his watch. The only thing that happened later is that the trades tried to defend Iger by saying it was all Bob Chapek. But if you do basic math, and just basic ideas of how movies are made, it was impossible for Bob Chapek to be behind that. Animated movies take 3 years, 4 years, 5 years. It was all Bob Iger who greenlit that and gave it the thumbs up. That was not Bob Chapek. If anything, Bob Chapek was the one who I heard from behind the scenes was saying that he's going to get this company out of politics. But he had to basically navigate the system, otherwise they could have got him out much sooner. But in the end, they got him out anyway, so yeah. My video was the Spider-Man Homecoming versus. Yeah, that's the Spider-Man 1 versus video. I'm glad you enjoyed that then, that you subscribed after all this time. That really means a lot. Thank you very much. But yeah, Joshman, I would agree that Bob Iger did that, but not Chapek. He tried to get out of that, apparently. Let's see. The Movie King 3000 has done a $5 super chat. And he says, hey Eric, how's your day going? Also, I heard that Charlie Cox confirmed that Daredevil Born Again will have a one-take action sequence. Your thoughts? Yeah, I heard that too. And the rumor is that they've gotten the stunt coordinator that coordinated the one-shot action sequences from the first 3 seasons of Daredevil to come back here. That's great. I just hope it's tied to a very good story, because those action sequences in the first 3 seasons of Daredevil were perfectly tied together with a fantastic story. That's what made those action sequences all the better, because they were happening during pivotal parts of the story in those seasons, especially season 3, where Matt Murdock was figured out by Kingpin, and then he had to get out of the prison. That was fantastic, that was. So, it all depends on the way they go about doing it. So, yeah, I loved it. But I love the idea that they're bringing him back, but it's gotta have good writing. It's gotta have a good showrunner, and they did not bring season 3 of showrunner of Daredevil back. They got the guy that came in to do the Punisher seasons back here, and I think he's not a very good showrunner if you've watched those Punisher seasons. Punisher had a better show in Daredevil season 2 than he did in his own show. Okay, Connor says, well, I could try to do that over at Patreon, but I'll have to also give out more video ideas. Yeah, you'll have to give more video ideas, but whatever you want to do, whenever you want to do it, it's entirely up to you. But just know, you guys can control what movies and shows I review and watch. Even if I don't intend to see them, I will end up seeing them if you guys put me up to it. And if you guys put me up to it, it could also end up on my top 5 best or top 5 worst movies list by the end of the year. If I decide to do a top 10 list, it could also end up on that as well. Alright then, so let's see, what have I done here? Let's see. Connor says, my first ever video I had seen was the Godzilla 2014 vs. King of the Monster video. Oh yeah, that one. That did a very well. Did that get 200,000 views or something? Yeah, that was. I'm glad you came in and you've been sticking by the channel since then. I really appreciate that. So thank you very much. You've been sticking by me after all this time. And now you're a YouTube member as well. Like, I really have the best viewers. Really, I do. I'm always so grateful to have all of you guys here. I've not seen the Elvis movie Trevor Bistro. Those are not my kind of movies, personally. Saeed says, are you worried about Daredevil Born Again? Yes, I am. I've said it constantly how we're, concerned about it. Jake says, by the way, I watched your Home Alone Versus video. Good video. When did you watch it? Did you just... Oh, you already watched it? Is that what you're saying? I thought you watched it somehow during this stream. I was like, when? How? That's good, buddy. I'm glad that you enjoyed that. That was a fun video to make during Christmas. I had to go all out with those Christmas decorations. No, Saeed, I've not bought Deadpool and Wolverine tickets. I'll just get it when I go to see the movie on the day. Connor says, I'll be seeing Inside Out 2 next week, Eric. Hope it's worth the hype. It depends, I think. I think whereas the first movie was a slam dunk, the second movie is you might like it, you might not. Or you might think it's okay. I think that's what the second movie would be. Jake says, to be fair, having a gay couple doesn't mean the movie is bad. I know the movie has other problems, though. If you're talking about Lightyear, I think... Yeah, that's not saying it is bad, but you can just tell when they put something like that in a movie, you can tell where their priorities are. You can tell when it's done naturally and organically, but then you can also tell when that's the first thing that was on their mind. And you can just tell when studios do it in a way just to hit back at the audience, and considering that Disney's audience is the family audience and the international audience, that's a very disrespectful move to do when that is your audience, and that's the audience that kept you going, your business going for all these decades. Disney, first and foremost, must, cater towards the family audience when it comes to these movies. And if international audiences and if some domestic audiences have issues with it, they need to then... What my idea is make a separate label. Do you know how with Marvel, they got Marvel Spotlight, where they put the more darker movies? I think they need to make a label where they say Disney, Pixar, something, which means this is where the LGBTQ stuff is going to be. That way, they'll cater towards both audiences. And they don't have to lie, deceive, and trick audiences by hiding it in the marketing and then tricking the audiences, like bamboozling the audience right when the families go to the theater, and then the parents are like, why did you show me that? That's what Disney have done, and that's why they've lost the trust with families. So, they've tried to force it on people. So it's like, if you want to do it, but make a separate category. Like Netflix even has like an LGBTQ like a genre or like a section that they've got. A lot of the streaming services have that. So why the movies don't have that? I think it could save them a whole lot of trouble if they just do that. And then people can't complain because it's like, yeah, that was going to be. It was in this section. They were upfront about it, and they will make dedicated projects about it. If they make dedicated projects about it and don't try to, convert pre-existing characters to that, that would probably help them. Now, let me see. Did I just get... I think my phone just went off. Did I just get a Streamlabs chat? I have. Patrick Style. I'm sorry if I didn't get to this sooner. I've been reading through all those comments and super chats. I think I just missed. Let's get it down here. Patrick Style has done a £1 and 3 pence super chat. I know you're put off by it because it's the CW, but I think you should give Superman and Lois a chance. It's honestly the best modern take of Superman, and it sucks that the show got cancelled because Warner Brothers didn't want it to compete with a Superman movie. Yeah, the reason I didn't want to see it was because I heard it was better, but I was kind of just done with the CW at that point because I was watching so many of their shows at the time, and I felt like they were really delving into politics too much at the expense of their characters and stories. And it was getting insulting at points, like how they were insulting Batman in the Batwoman show, so I was like, I'm just done with the CW. I heard it was better, but at the same time it's got a lot of CW-isms in there with Superman's kids, which I was not looking forward to. And yeah, I hear that it's not... I hear that it's not that yeah, they are canceling it, but hopefully they'll at least be able to give it an ending. That's what I hope for everyone watching it. But yeah, I don't know. I feel like I've just kind of gone past that. I'm just waiting for the Superman movie now at this point. And I didn't like the guy they got as Superman personally too much either. Brandon says, do you think Disney should have made Knights of the Old Republic movie instead of the Acolyte series, despite how bad the backlash is? No, because that's apparently supposed to be a great story, and they should only make that when they're in their prime. They should not make that in the state they are now, where they're releasing just disposable stuff, essentially. And garbage in the sense of the Acolyte. Okay. Okay, guys, I'm going to end the stream in 8 minutes, so then we'll have done a 2-hour stream. So if you got any more questions, super chats, Streamlabs chats, if you want to join me live, or if you want to become a Patreon member live, I'll actually put your name here live on the stream, which will stay on the stream forever. This particular stream. Go ahead and I'll answer your questions as soon as I can, and, you know, you can enjoy the benefits that come with being a member or a patron or whatever it is that you want to choose. Jess says, why is he a mind reader? Who are you talking about? Arathorn says, what are your thoughts on the Doom games? I've only played the original Doom game on somewhere. I don't know what platform I did, but just for a bit. It was interesting, but it was obviously dated. I played other games which I thought were better, but it was a cool thing to try. That this was one of the first FPS games. There's another Doom game that's on PC. I tried a demo once. I didn't like it too much. I didn't know where to go. But I have been wanting to get the Doom game on my Steam Deck at some point so I can play the whole thing. But I've not quite made the leap yet. And I've got plenty of other games I should play before I think about buying more. So that's what happens when you're on Steam. It really gets you into wanting to do that, you know, just buy as much games as you can for bargains, even if you're never going to play them, and that's how your library builds up and you lose your money, so you got to be careful with that. Charlton says, have you finished Jedi Fallen Order? Yes, I have. It was a fun time. I started to get the hang of where to go on the map system in the last quarter of the game. And when you start to unlock more abilities, that's where it becomes more fun. I think that's one of the problems of the game, is they keep locking you away from all these abilities, and you have to keep finding other ways around the environment, and it's not fun that way. But when you have the abilities, it's so much more fun. I still think they could do a better way of telling you where to go, you know, navigation. I really wish they did better in that game with that. And the second game looks to be doing more of that, if you ask me, from what I can tell. Shame you can't play the second game on the Steam Deck, because they've just not... It's like they've not optimized it properly. Even on big PCs, the game doesn't run so well. So, yeah, it's a shame. Just as Eric, I was telling Jake if he did a $1 million super chat and if he was a mind reader. Oh, okay. Trevor, I've only seen like one episode of Andor. Or was it 1 or 2? I need to go back and watch it, but I didn't like what they did with the politics. Politics was great in the Clone Wars, but in Andor it was so slow and boring. Joshman says, Eric, are you going to be watching the Sausage Party TV show that's going to be coming out on Amazon Prime? Are they making a TV show of that? The movie was fine enough, I think. I don't need to see a show of it. I mean, geez, it does sound like they're just going to make shows of anything these days, isn't it? Universal says, do you think Deadpool 3 will... Oh, where did your comment go? Just went up somewhere. Oh, there you go. Do you think Deadpool 3 will make $1 billion at the box office? I think it could. Will it? I don't know. The only movie that's made $1 billion at the box office, and only R-rated movie, is Joker. If you ask me... I think it will get in the 900 million zone, but I don't think it will make $1 billion. So if you had to ask me, that's what I would say, if I was a betting man. Jake says, why is Hollywood going on a downward spiral? I swear we're also partly to blame. Yeah, we are partly to blame, but at the same time, I feel like, no, this is really something that Hollywood have been doing. They've been experimenting with this whole political thing, where they're trying to pander to social media. Now they're doing this thing where they're trying to look at algorithms and AI telling them what movies to make, but AI couldn't tell you that Oppenheimer was going to do well or Barbie was going to do well. They're making all these dim-witted decisions on their own because Hollywood studios, and George Lucas has said this, don't know what audiences want. They just look at what audiences liked before and try to redo that and try to make more of those. That is exactly the reason why. So yeah, it's really the studio's fault. And the studio don't have to listen to the political pandering type on social media, but they do. Even though there's no money there, and that audience on social media is not an audience that made the company what they are today. So yeah, it's all on Disney's fault. Is it our fault sometimes? Yes, it can be. Look at the audiences that went to go see all these countless live-action Disney remakes. That's why Disney decided to make more. So it's like, yeah, it can be our fault too, but I'll really put this on the studio. You just need better management, is what you need. Yes, Time Shadow, it does have teen drama, but it's more from the perspective of her internal mind with the emotions. So that's what separates it from making it seem generic. Joshman says, Eric, I've been watching Star Wars Bad Batch. It's been a really well-written series, and I made it to Season 2, and I cannot wait to see where everything wraps up in Season 3. Season 3 wraps up really well. I actually felt sad when the show was over, which is so good that a show can do that. Season 2 has some of the great episodes in there, especially when it comes to their brother. The one with the one who's got that precise target practice. I forgot his name. I've stopped watching the show now. Crosshair. He's got some excellent episodes in Season 2. Like, really good. Connor says, I'm looking forward to the Godzilla x Kong video, Eric. It was the first Godzilla film I saw in theaters, and that final battle blew my mind. Well, watch Godzilla vs. Kong. That final battle is the one that blew my mind. I can see why this would blow your mind if it's the first thing you saw, but if you saw Godzilla vs. Kong first, that would have blown your mind even more, I think. Because it was Godzilla and Kong fighting each other, then fighting Mecha Godzilla, which are iconic monsters. Okay, guys, 2 more minutes. So any more questions you have, like I said, do them now, and I'll answer them. But yeah, I've not eaten, so I need to go and eat as well and everything, so that's why I'm also going to be heading out. And my throat is very sore right now. Saeed says, yeah, I'm getting a Deadpool Wolverine necklace. It is spliced in half for 2 people. One for Deadpool and Wolverine. Cool. I don't know where you're getting that necklace, though. I'd be curious to know where or what even it is. Is it a new thing they're releasing or what? Patrick Styles says, do you think Joker 2 will make $1 billion, or do you think the first movie was a one-time anomaly? I think it might have been a one-time anomaly, mainly because the media were attacking people for even wanting to see it. So yeah, it might be a one-time anomaly. Okay, everyone, I think that's basically it. For those of you that are asking questions about YouTube memberships, hopefully you now know where to go to join YouTube memberships. Hopefully those who are asking questions about how to ask me to commission videos and reviews to end up in my top 5 best or worst movies list by the end of the year, you know where to go now. It's on Patreon. Whatever you do, I'm essentially at your command. So basically, whatever movie you want me to watch, review, it's all going to be in your hands. So you know where Patreon is. You know where YouTube membership is. Thank you all very much for your continuous support and helping me and make this a career that can where I can continue doing this as for a living. I really appreciate it. As always, I enjoy these live streams and speaking to you every single week. And hopefully we'll have another stream next week. So thank you very much for watching. Stay tuned for that Godzilla vs. Kong vs. Godzilla X Kong vs. video. Should I say that 5 times fast? And you'll enjoy that in a few hours. So thank you very much for watching, everyone, and I will catch all of you very soon. Take care.